Okay, so what is up, guys? The Strong Boys 19 here. This is going to be, as per usual, the next live stream for the channel. And I always go through a lot of these improvisations, just to, be in a free space to say whatever I would like to address. And not everything, well, at all, actually, has been just scripted and all of that. So, yeah, basically, we're just going to have another chill and hang out. And just like some of the previous live streams that I've done, there's going to be a music Q&A for this one for a change, as I would like to, personally interact with you guys a lot more than usual, because doing these streams has been a favorable thing for me, because even though that we are going through a bit of a difficult spot at the moment, especially with the whole lockdown easing and all this stuff, which I personally don't want to go into, but I think with internet interactions and just basically have a positive vibe and hang out, it's going to be something for the better. And I have just seen that somebody did like the stream before this started, and a few viewers here. So thank you very much, whoever clicked the like, and share this stream around as well, guys, to anyone who is into music, and we can have maybe some new faces, some new YouTube viewers who would like to come on by and chill. So yeah, just a brief introduction to finish like that. So how are you all, guys? And I've been doing okay for the most part. I have been mostly productive in my time. I've been playing more and more guitar and listening to music, and I was actually surprised myself that I've been, I guess, active the more I was making videos for the channel, because I did say a few weeks ago now that I have been taking a break, but I am pretty pleased with myself that I've been productive for making more videos. So I will say, after this live stream, there is going to be a brand new update video for the stuff that I purchased, mostly the albums that I purchased. And speaking of purchases, I have been to town for the first time in many months. I've been to town, the city centre, and it has been worth of a revisit. I had a really, really good time, and it just felt like a hobby that was so worth revisiting, because it's one of my favorite things to do, actually. Just to travel to places and go to some shops. Record shopping has been the main part of it, to be honest with you, because I used to travel so much, going via the train to go to town and see hundreds of different people, seeing the different shops all around, and know my walkings to the places of the shops that I go to purchase records for, like HMV and stuff like that. And it has been such a great part that I always love to do. So there will be a new update, as I purchased a few more albums than the previous month, which I am really happy about. And it has been giving me some buzz, because record collecting is one of my favorite things to do, because I am absolutely I guess positive enough for me to do the stuff that I haven't done for ages, because that is the part of me. And it's something that I love to do as much as playing guitar and making videos, be with you guys, and yeah, and just the fun stuff. So there's been a few more viewers coming in and a few more likes. That's great. And if anyone wants to interact with me, just type something in the chat box and interact with me, and also to each other, interact with each other, and let's keep everything in this stream as positive and very free and open. And Guitar Storms decides to pop in first. Jumping in and jumping out, guys. Hope all is well. Working night shift. Keep positive and happy, guys. Cheers for that, Guitar Storms. I did see your comment on the live stream announcement video that you will be at the night shift working, but I hope everything is good to go for you, for your work, and hope you are doing all right. And now that we are here, I'm just going to check if it is working on YouTube on my phone, the app, just to be sure, because I do want to see if everything is all good. And I think that this is just going to be just a laid back fun stream, because I really enjoy the previous live streams, as that they were some of the best things in my opinion about the channel, because I do love to see some very familiar faces, and I am very open for anyone that likes to come on by and address whatever they like to address in the message box in any stream that I do. Yeah, everything is all working here, so just going to check this is all good to go. Yeah, everything's good here. So yeah, if there's anything you want to say, guys, please, by all means, just just type anything. So if there's anything you want to ask me, if it's something something that I love, or just music related, and what you have been up to, I am curious to know what you have been up to, because I've already said my bits, but I do hope that you guys are doing very, very well, and looking after yourselves, and staying safe, especially with the whole state of the UK, because we are getting things back into the normality of doing stuff that we love to do, and just to get our optimism and the positivity going. Right, better get back to work. If you get a chance, check out Rolling Stones' unreleased studio quality tracks, 3 CDs bootleg. It rocks. I am not very familiar with that. Guitar Storms, cheers for that awesome comment. I personally don't mind bootlegs. I mean, I have a few bootlegs in my collection, but most of it is just proper official pressings, and on an original or a reissue. I have a few unofficial pressings, but that doesn't really bother me that much. But it just depends on the condition of the record. That's what's most important, as well as the music vibe side of things. But yeah, I will have a look at that unreleased Rolling Stones 3 CD bootleg. Guitar Storms, thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, you are more than welcome to come on down to a video to watch and like and comment, and a live stream. Be mindful and wise. Hi, Greg. Cool to be in the live stream. Thank you very much, mates. Hope all is well with you. And what have you been doing in your time? So yeah, music-wise, I have been, I would say, in a bit of a different vibe, mostly through the veins of some metal music, and a bit of some instrumental electronic stuff. just to spice some things up in my taste. And I would like to still continue to expand a lot more onto the taste of music that I have, as that I think it's always a good thing to explore, many different styles, as that's my taste over time when I was collecting more and more records and discovering artists in my hobby of the music. It's a really, really good experience. It's an experience to discover so many new things in your obsession with music. There's going to be more and more videos onto you know updates of albums I've purchased, with albums that I would say be very new to me, because I do want to grow more of the collection and to present not only records of the usual stuff from people and bands that I love, but I think it's also a great thing to discover more. And if there's something that I like, I would buy it and present something very new. For other videos, I would still like to continue doing the reviews on the albums, and I am going to be doing the Genesis discography. And I know I said that from a previous video that I've done, but I will be productive to work on the Genesis albums, because I have listened to all of the albums, but I need to come back to them and make notes and review the albums as much as I can. I will do them. For new albums, I have listened to some more 2021 albums, and it depends on my mood and the time for me to make more of them. But there's going to be some more reviews on albums for maybe collaborations, some classic albums, revisited ones. I think I may have one that I would like to plan on doing, because there's going to be an album that I have been really interested enough to review. And speaking of other albums, I will have a look at the comments on the albums that you wanted me to review, guys. And I will do them. I will listen to the albums that you have requested me to check out and to review. And I promise to myself and for you that I will get these videos worked on and planned. So the previous video that I had done was my review for Oasis with Standing on the Shoulder of Giants. There's going to be the next album for Oasis discography on the Heath and Chemistry, and I will get to that. So, there's going to be more and more of just the same stuff. But I think with the break that I've been taking, I would say that it's a different feeling. That I will say it was pretty much worth it. But for the sake of me making more and more videos, it's just something that I always wanted to continue on doing. And here's the thing: lately, whenever I upload a video, there's not many views onto the videos that I have been receiving, and it's not because of the views. I don't ever think about the views, but when it comes to the videos that I upload, I surprisingly haven't been receiving more than a bundle, because I think there's something with YouTube that if you are not as consistent for making videos, then the attention sorry about that, the attention that you get would be decreasing for not making your time worth it for being so productive. And I will also have to maybe attract more attention to anyone that's interested to see my videos by creating more thumbnails for the videos. I don't know. There's something about YouTube that decides to change a few things, because on the views from anybody's videos, whether people would be interested in them or not. I could be wrong about that, I don't know. That's just a weird thing that I've been experiencing, and maybe that's happened to anyone. But I think it was down to the lack of the consistency and the very positive commitments that I used to get for making videos. Um, but whenever I make a video, I just do it for the hobby and for the very fun amount onto that that vibe of being on the channel. So I don't know what is up with that really. But yeah, there's going to be the videos coming up that I've addressed. So as I said earlier, the next video after this will be the update video for the stuff that I've purchased. Be mindful and wise. Have you listened to the new Cannibal Corpse album, Violence Unimagined? I think it's their best in a long time. I haven't listened to the new album yet, mate, but I will. I will maybe review it, and I know it's been out, but I will come back to them and listen to the new album. Um, and there's going to be some more different, I would say, different genres of albums that I would be interested enough to review. As that, I will absolutely be reviewing the albums that I am anticipating to review. Yeah, Sedition Through Scorns. How's it going, Jake, man? Hey, Greg, what's up? Nice to see you keeping up with the YouTube videos and formats. What albums have you been listening to on constant rotation? Also, thoughts on Mudvayne returning. I haven't been listening to a lot of albums on repeat lately, but I think the albums that I would likely be listening to on repeat are personally one of my favorite albums of all time. Mostly from the bands that I love, and there was um, there was one of the albums that I had purchased back in March, Impetus or Impetus. Still don't know if I pronounced that correctly or not. By Steve Roach, uh, a very underrated electronic, ambient, experimental synthesizer, electronic legend. I know I said electronic twice, but I've been playing that for quite a bit because I really got to like the album a lot. But for metal sakes, there's barely a lot of metal albums I've been listening to on repeat. It's not that I have been losing interest in it, but it just depends on the kind of mood that I will be in when it comes to listening to music. That's another thing, because when it comes to listening to albums, you have to be in a separate vibe and mood and feeling to get connected with whatever you like to listen to get into that mindset of being involved with the music as you let that uh, do the presentation and the talking to your hearing, and let it speak to you. So um, I will have to say I am going to be listening back to metal again and review some new stuff that can be metal related, and I would like to also continue my obsession into, as I said earlier, the discovery of different bands and artists, because there were some that I had discovered and was really intrigued to address, but I need to buy the albums first. But also on the returning of Mudvayne, I really did not know that. But Mudvayne, I think they are a good band. I mean, I only own one album from them, but in terms of the discography, I haven't really listened to all of the albums. Um, I think they're one of those bands that can be very ignored by many people because they were into that vein on the new metal genre. Not to disrespect the new metal genre, as I did like the new metal genre for what it is, because I respect the influence and the background. But I did like a bit of Mudvayne. They were not one of my favorite bands, to be honest. For them returning, I did not expect to hear the news on that. Um, I don't know what I would say on that per se. I will have to say, if it works out for the guys, then I am very pleased for them. Um, Also, for new albums, there's going to be the review for the new Fear Factory album, because there is going to be the release on the first Fear Factory album since Gen Exodus back in 2015. And I think that it's going to be their last album, because of what Dino had done, very productively working on the album, but in the different side, personal wise, and with the news on Burton's departure, I was really ashamed on that. I think that Fear Factory after this album is like going to be, done, which is a shame, really, because I love Fear Factory's music. They were one of my favorite bands of all time, and they were the first one to get me into the industrial metal genre. But I will review the new Fear Factory album as well as the new Mastodon album, because I did say on a previous live stream that Mastodon's new album is going to be my most anticipated, as they are one of my favorite bands of all time. Yeah, Wooden of the Angles. Good evening. Good evening. How are you doing? Hope you're all well. Big Chunky 22. Hey guys. Hey man. Thank you for coming into this stream. How are you doing? So hope you are okay yourself. And by the way, I haven't been to Samus's streams at all since the past few months, but I haven't forgotten him whatsoever. I would still love to be uh, in a live stream whenever he's on Twitch, but I have been watching more of his videos. I have heard that he is moving out, moving to a new place, so I am really pleased for him and Carrie as well. But in return, next time you see Samus, tell him I said hi, maybe because I do miss watching Samus's streams, and I would like to come back to him if I am in a positive mood. But yeah, so cheers for coming in, Big Chunky 22. Gracie, I'm very happy you decided to come in. Fancy seeing you here. Well, I did send you the link to the stream. You awesome person. You don't need to say that. You don't need to say that, but I am I am very flattered, and thank you for the very nice emoji. Really awesome, and very grateful to see you coming in here. Blackwater Rust. What TF is up, strong boys? How's it going, Blackwater Rust? I hope you are okay. Yeah, be mindful and wise. Mudvayne's LD50 is a classic. I haven't listened to the album LD50 for a very 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 long while, but I think LD50 is always the album that's been known as the classic in the discography. I am not really familiar with some of the later albums. I know they've not made much, but I haven't listened to Mudvayne for ages. BRB or dang. I don't know what that really means, Big Chunky 22. I did see it, but I was talking on the previous topics I've addressed. I don't really get it at all. Wooden of the Angles. Peter Gabriel's first 4 solo albums are relatively unknown gems, in my opinion. Love those albums. I do think that Peter Gabriel's earlier albums are really good. I think the Melt album is a brilliant album, but I think in terms of the um, discography itself, it's definitely one of the best. One of my favorites albums of all time, solo albums wise. It's Peter Gabriel's Us, and I do really love most of So, and some of the earlier albums as well are great stuff. But I think Us is definitely the album that I say is Peter Gabriel's greatest work. But I do think that his discography is one of the most unique and most original. He's one of the first solo artists that I had listened to when I was, in the early stages of getting into music. And the first time that I listened to Peter Gabriel and see him through TV was the video on Sledgehammer uh, from Aardman, because that was and is still his greatest, biggest hit, success wise. But you know, Peter Gabriel's work of albums, just some of the best. I love his work on his music. The only new metal bands I legit love are Deftones, Korn, Soulfly, and Seven Dust. I do love Korn myself, and they are another band for me to review their albums. Um, and also with Soulfly, I do really like Soulfly. I think Soulfly are very underrated for some people. Um, and I also always will still prefer and love the Cavalera Sepultura era. But Soulfly, I love some of their albums. I haven't heard all of the band's discography, but I think I've got most of them in the collection. Seven Dust, I am familiar with the band, but I don't really think that they are, I would say, that memorable for me, in my opinion, as much as the ones that I've said. And Deftones, I love Deftones. I've got their discography, and White Pony is one of my favorites of the 2000s and of all time, really, in metal music. By the way, guys, if you haven't seen my album reviews on the stuff that I've posted recently, please check them out. Share a like and comment. It will really mean a lot, the world, for me. It definitely boosts up the channel, and share your comments on the stuff that I had talked about from the previous videos. Um, but yeah, White Pony. Back to White Pony. It's a classic, and I did review the album with EQP TV, and I think that it's possibly one of my top 10 albums of the 2000s. But I do love a lot of their albums. Be Mindful and Wise, Demanufacture is still the best Fear Factory album to me. That album is the industrial metal classic. But I still, yeah, I love Demanufacture, but I think for me, in terms of the main favorite, I would still possibly pick Digimortal because of nostalgia reasons. And I think that is one of their very underrated ones. Obsolete as well is another gem. I think that their discography from that point is like the best era for Fear Factory. Some of the later albums, like Transgression and Archetype, are great stuff. I really enjoyed some of the later stuff as well, but I'm still pretty much pumped for the new Fear Factory album. Um, Sedition Through Scorns, Obsolete by Fear Factory, will always be my favorite album in their catalogue, but I've lost a bit of respect for Dino since he primarily wanted the music for the money than anything else. When it comes to the music side on Fear Factory, I I always love that signature sound, and it's one of the first subgenres that I had ever listened to when it comes to music in a very metal heavier um, aspect and experience. But when it comes to writing music, it does it does take so much dedication, and that if you are really that positive about it, because when it comes to writing music and making music, you have to be as inspired as you can, because if you're just going to be forcing stuff out without taking anything for granted you know of making something good, if you think about the money more than the music and than the actual work, that is not the way to do it. Because I've seen musicians, personality wise, that they don't think about their actual work, and they think about the opposites, and just to get the attention, but for the whole priority of just making money than caring about the music is absolutely atrocious. Because if you want to make music, you have to be dedicated and as passionate as possible, because with making something that you want to make, it does take patience, it does take so much time. But you know at the the purpose of doing that, it has to take its time to let the whole thing sink into you. And if you are very happy with what you're making, then show it, write it, record it, and release it. Make it as genuine as you can astronomically be, because I think with some of the greatest albums ever recorded and released, they they were so um, they were so big in originality and a lot of productivity. And if you don't have that, if you don't get inspired at all by making music that sounds right to you, and you just think about just getting the attention and just think about the money, that is not how you would be for making yourself a musician. I could go on about it, but when it comes to Dino, I think he does get his dedication of making music um, really worth it, and as uh, busy as he wants. But you know, for what he's doing lately, and especially on his personality sakes, it's it's very it's very actually indifferent for me, because there's a part of me that goes, I really respect the guy for his art and the music, but his personal side, that is something else into the reaction that I think. I love musicians, personality wise, that are as dedicating, but not only that for the music, but to be so connecting and interactive with anyone in person and in virtual, um, on the internet as well, because it really shows that they truly care. They do dedicate their own work and their um, actual feeling for people as well. there are loads of musicians that are like that. But when it comes to musicians that don't have, a great amount of optimism to respect and care for anyone and just think about themselves and the money, that is something really not worth it at all. It's a waste of some people's time, well, for anyone actually. But yeah, I do respect heavily on Dino's work since he continues Fear Factory, and I am happy for him that he likes to make another album for the band and with the other stuff that he's been doing. That's all I would say on that. Uh, yeah, Blackwater Rust, Demanufacture is my favorite. Blackwater Rust, Fear Factory is the best industrial metal band. I will agree because Fear Factory's um, music means a lot to me because they were one of the first, as I said, they were one of the first that I had listened to when it comes to the metal, very heavy metal scenes and aspect of music. But I love some industrial bands more and more. I need to get into more. I love Strapping Young Lad, as I had discovered them not as not as long as Fear Factory, because I love Fear Factory. Ever since like more than 15 years. Um, so for Strapping Young Lad, I got to love their music when I got into Devin Townsend. Um, but yeah, I always loved Fear Factory. In speaking of Mastodon, Crack the Sky is one of the best possible albums to listen to on 420. One of my top 5 favorite metal albums of all time. That is in my top 10 as well. Top 10 favorites. Crack the Sky is my favorite. As I said, I would say a great amount of times I am looking forward to review the album because that album is definitely their prog metal gem, and it's to me one of those albums that defines the genre itself. I could go on about Crack the Sky, but needless to say, I am so glad to discover the band because of Leviathan and that album, really. But yeah, I am going to be reviewing Crack the Sky. Uh, that's a classic album by itself. Yeah. Be mindful and wise. Are you a fan of Dio's solo band? The Last in Line's my favorite album of his. I haven't listened to all of his solo stuff. I only heard Holy Diver. I have listened to The Last in Line, which is a really good album. I think the first album is his best, maybe because of his most popular work. But I am going to be listening to some of his other albums. Sedition Through Scorns. Rammstein's making a new album soon, and I cannot wait for them to make new music. I feel they're one of the many industrial bands haven't lost their sense of touch and sound at all, in my opinion. Rammstein is another band that I think have not lost their sound at all because they are still, at their very big purpose of sticking to their big roots. And they're one of my favorite bands of all time as well. Their discography is one of the best into the genre as well of industrial metal. One of my favorite bands. And just like with bands like Fear Factory, to Slipknot, to Korn and Trivium, they are one of the bands that I had first listened to in metal, and I believe they are the first for me to think about them that I've listened to in a different language, believe it or not. Rammstein, with their discography, I have used to listen to them on repeat. Mutter's a classic, and I love some of their underrated stuff like Rosenrot. Um, I got to love more of Sehnsucht, and Reise is another favorite. Um, I don't know if they're going to be actually releasing a new album, but I think that their self-titled would still maybe be their last. But if there are some reports, actual ones that they are uh, releasing a new one, then that's going to be something really cool. Um, he says, yeah, what you think of the latest Gojira single, by the way? Um, I feel it's much more of a step up prior to Magma, which was a good album, but a lot softer than their past material. But I'm stoked for it. I did not listen to the new Gojira track. I am going to be listening to that. I really like. Oh, what was that? What was that other single? Another World. I think that's what it's called. I got to respect more of it. I do like it. Not one of the best tracks, but I got to like that track more and more. I like the chorus a lot as well. But I love Gojira. Magma, to me, is a very good album, and I do like its messages. But musically, I think is one of their more effective, but I say more groovy and less technical side. But I think that they still bring in much, so much adrenaline, and I think Magma has some of my favorite tracks from them. But I think From Mars to Sirius is their best album. Well, I am pretty stoked to the new Gojira stuff, new stuff and album. Be mindful and wise. Are you a fan of Caius? I really got to enjoy their discography, and I prefer them over the sound of Queens of the Stone Age. I do like them, but I think Caius has more of a favorable side for me, as I love some of um, the I say very fuzzy to uh, pretty amped, beefy stoner metal sound. Um, I think their discography is very, very good. I think their discography is going to be another one for me to get in the collection. I think my favorite from them, if I can remember it, um, Blues Under the Red Sun. I might have got that completely wrong, but I'll have to look it up. But that album is my favorite. Um, Pecky Peck, how's it going, mate? Hope you are okay, and your missus and your son. Evening strong, boys. Just seen the news. A legend in rock and roll has just passed away. Rest in peace, Jim Steinman, whom wrote Meatloaf's "Bad Out of Hell" and "Bad Out of Hell 2." That that is a shame. I did not know that. Man, I really personally don't want to go into topics like that, but to hear about Jim, damn, Bad Out of Hell, Meatloaf, that was one of the very first albums that I had listened to, because that has given me some of the nostalgia for listening to music, but that I really did not expect. I personally don't want to think about that very deeply at all, but um, I just didn't didn't expect it, as I just said. Um, can't believe it. um, yeah, Sedition Through Scorns. I was very fortunate enough to see Strapping Young Lad live. That is awesome. Before they called it done, Alien is such a classic for the industrial metal scene, and live wise, they had such energy in their music. Yes, and Alien is another great album. It's a wild, heavy, mad album, but City is their classic, in my opinion. I did review that album, by the way, with Jake Bristow for Classic Albums Revisited. City was the album that got me into Strapping Young Lad, as I did discover them through one of my favorite YouTubers, Free to Be Who I Be, who did review the album. And I was intrigued by the look of the album, but the sound of it, that's something else. And I would possibly definitely add that in as the top two album in the industrial metal genre. Top five now, top two. But I love City. Used to play that on repeat so much ever since that I got into the band, because it was so it was very monstrous. It's so very fucking heavy, that album. But I would I would just love to go on about that record. Um, I would definitely love to get that album in the collection. Also, have you heard? Sorry, Pecky Peck. Also, have you heard Saxon's version of Paperback Writer? I posted it on Facebook. Uh, Sorry, I didn't say that. On your wall a few weeks ago. Yeah, I did see your post. It's from Saxon's new album of covers, much rockier than the original. I don't mind some covers, but it depends on what interests me. I think with covers, there are some that I love. I haven't discovered their cover yet, mate. But Paperback Writer, being one of the classics in the Beatles discography, I would like to check it out. I would like to check that cover version out. Um, but I'm not really a fan of a lot of them. It depends on who I like to listen to and what really connects with me as a cover, for the sound to the production, and just the whole song of it. You know, Be Mindful and Wise. City is my favorite Strapping Young Lad album. Alien is a close second. Alien is my second favorite Strapping Young album. I think that their self-titled is very good. The New Black, I think, is very underrated, but I think it's not my least favorite. The New Black, I do respect the album more and more. I love the production on that album. Um, but I think City is their very number one classic album. And Alien second. The self-titled, really like that one. Then the New Black, and the first album that Devin done, Heavy as a Really Heavy Thing. That's my least favorite. And Gene Hoglan did like that album before he was with the band, but Devin didn't like it at all. He didn't like it as much. Um, I know that he made that album, all by himself. But I think with the later Strapping albums, they are better in a consistent and a very prominent way of delivering the sound of what they have been writing and producing. So their discography as well. I'd say that they are one of the top 10 ones to listen to into the industrial metal genre. Mutter would be my favorite Rammstein album. That's my favorite Rammstein record, um, because I think that is their most memorable, and that's one of the things about it. Almost every track is extremely consistent in the riffs to the songs themselves. And with some of the later and earlier albums, they have made other classic songs. I think Mutter is really the album that shows Rammstein at their absolute best and uh, mad peak of their acclaim and success. So I think with that album, that is, um, the numero uno in their discography. I haven't listened to them for a long, long time whatsoever, but I think it's going to be a great thing to revisit. Um, Billy Bishop, hey man, how are you doing? Hey Greg, do you think that Pat O'Brien will return to Cannibal Corpse after his arrest and court appearance in 2018? I really don't know. I'm not really sure because what he did was, absolutely messed up in his head. Um, but it really depends if he will recover. It depends if the entire band would like to have him back, because that's the thing. I mean, um, for personal sakes, that's a different part for anybody, because with personal experiences on what anyone's been going through, it affects anyone, especially for, with your mates being in a band. But I think with the rest of the band, I guess it depends if it's up to them to have him back. But I am not going to say that that's like the right uh, the right thing, but because I don't know what they would say, but it's just down to them personally. Um, yeah. By the way, have you picked up Violence Unimagined by them? I haven't. I haven't listened to it um, either. So I need to listen to the album and maybe review it. Uh, so yeah, I will get to the new Cannibal album as soon as I can. But it just depends on what other kind of music that I would be interested to listen to and review first, because there are some that I am going to be doing, but I will get to the album. Reaper, how's it going, Reaper? Um, yeah, those are some sick Slipknot posters. Thank you very much. Um, yeah, so these are just random posters from random eras. That blue one is from the self-titled um, Volume 3. That one, I think that one's the very first Slipknot poster that I had got when I was into Slipknot collecting. So that one right there is the grey chapter. All Hope Is Gone over there from Kerrang magazine. Um, that one over there from Volume 3. We Are Not Your Kind. I decided to buy that. Um, and I do have a Slipknot flag, and I think that is from the self-titled era. But if you want to see some Slipknot videos that I had done, then check out the channel if you want to, because they've been my favorite band. They've been my favorite band, ever since I was really obsessed with them. Uh, yeah. The 21st of this month will mark 5 years since Prince passed away. Are you familiar with his music at all? If so, what's your stance on his style? I really do like Prince, and I think his discography being a very versatile and madly packed um, amount of albums, and I do have a few of his work. I really do like some of his stuff. And also, I think as a guitarist, one of those very underrated ones and overlooked ones as well. I think for him being mainly a one man band musician, I have absolutely got a lot of respect for him as a musician. Because for me, when it comes to making music, I am basically a one man band myself. So I think that is a very awesome, dedicating um, part of being a musician. You know, to make music with instruments that you've got. Um, but I think with his styles, he went through a lot of work into some disco beats to some, uh, I guess, some bit of soul and funk. But I think his work of albums, a lot of it just goes into a lot of the big variety that I do like. I love some variety in some bands and musicians, but I think Prince is a really good musician. Um, and I think his discography, just one of those, I think, um, I would say as an astronomical big um, big pile of his albums. Uh, Billy Bishop, I love Purple Rain, the song and the movie. I think Purple Rain, the song is very overplayed. It's still a really good song, but I would say that there are, um, I would say, more favorable Prince tracks, but I haven't listened to a lot of his stuff yet to say which one's my favorite. I haven't seen the movie either, so I will have to get onto that, get onto the movie watching part. Blackwater Rust, yes, Prince is one of the greatest artists ever. Favorite Slipknot songs. There's so many. You know, if I would have to make a top 10, I would definitely maybe do it. But my favorite Slipknot song is "Before I Forget" because of the absolute non-stop repeats of seeing the music video, because that is my favorite Slipknot music video. I love many others. You know, I could just say, you know, an entire album of their stuff, mainly from the first two. But with the latest stuff, if I have to make a top 10, I would have to think of that. There's too many Slipknot songs that I would have to say, um, because you know they have they have a separate amounts of um, um, actual different comments why I love their songs. So I would like to make maybe a video on to that. Maybe a very favorable top 10 songs from Slipknot. Be Mindful and Wise. Sign of the Times is my favorite Prince album. I think that Sign of the Times is definitely an absolute really good album. Some of the stuff musically sounds excellent, very funky to something upbeat, and you know, extremely um, good in the aspect of being very original. Just an absolute awesome record. I'll have to listen to some of his other stuff. Be Mindful and Wise. Are you a fan of Behemoth? I really like Behemoth. Demigod is maybe their best one, but I think that some stuff like The Satanist, one of the best albums of the 2010s. But I haven't heard all of their stuff yet. And on the Slipknot We Are Not Your Kind tour, when I had seen them live, they opened for Slipknot. I did a concert review on it, by the way. Um, and they were really good. And I did say that they were, you know, they were really good, showing lots of smoke and fire, and I think they sound very good live. Um, but I think Behemoth are definitely one of the best extreme bands in metal per se, and with some of their great albums, they definitely deserve the awesome attention, because I think that they were one of the most absolute precise and consistent bands into the awesome power and the tightness into their crafts and their menacing sounds, and it's just heavy as heck metal music. Um, Wooden of the Angles. I was listening to Moody Blues' Long Distant Voyager album today. Classic. I really do like the Moody Blues, and I think they've made some of the best rock albums of all time. I do like In Search of the Lost Chord a lot. The Threshold of a Dream. Days of Future Past, in my opinion, is a gem. And I think one of the early classic ones in the prog rock music genre. But I do love some of the Moody Blues stuff. Sedition Through Scorns. There's also hang on a minute. Yeah, so we are 1 hour into the stream, guys. So I think I'm going to be doing maybe another hour, and then I would like to finish that. Finish that once the 2 hour mark is up for the stream. Um, uh, about Chimera returning, but give or take, I don't think there's a possibility, even if it's just a new album. I want it to be like Resurrection, since it's my personal favorite. I don't think that there will be Chimera reunion returning, because I think the way things go, Mark has been doing his own thing, and one of the guitarists has a YouTube channel, and I can't remember his name, but it's the rhythm and lead guitarist. He owns a YouTube channel himself, and Mark is also a photographer. He used to do some photography, but I don't think that there will be a Chimera returning. They were one of the very favorable bands for me when I was getting into metal as well, and I think they're very underrated. Some of my favorite albums from them are the self-titled and The Impossibility of Reason. The Resurrection is maybe my favorite. The Chimera, just another amazing band. Billy Bishop, not music related, but I wanted to share this with you. What are your thoughts on Prince Philip's death and funeral, since you live in the UK? I'm not really that interested in going into that part onto the conversations, but you know really I don't really have that much of a connection into stuff like that. I know that uh, I'm in the UK, but I don't really look out into the royal family and stuff like that. But really, Prince Philip, almost 100 really. So, but yeah, I don't really have anything else to say on that, to be honest. I have heard the news on it, but I was, more into the mood of what I want to like and what I want to watch and listen to the most, more than stuff of the news. I don't really particularly like the news, to be honest. Just one of those things that just um, never really appeals to me to connect with. Um, but yeah, be mindful and wise. Are you looking forward to the new Carcass album, Torn Arteries? Yes, I will definitely review that album because for Surgical Steel, as gonna be very soon, the previous album, that album was and still is one of the best albums of the 2010s, and I think that their discography is really really good stuff. As that they are one of my favorite bands into that melodic metal side of music and the heavier side too. Um, but I think the new album is going to be anticipating for me. But the new Mastodon one is my most anticipated. Uh, yeah, Pecky Peck. Do you watch newer episodes of The Simpsons or do you prefer the classics more? And The Simpsons Hit and Run is such a timeless classic PS2 game. I don't really have an interest into the newer stuff, um, but I prefer the classics era of The Simpsons, as I own a few of their seasons myself. But I think that they've made so many newer episodes that they just lost more onto the originality of the charm, and they go into some more onto, I would say, the um, very modernized and a typical form of presentation onto something that is not as, I say, not as memorable. And just because of the whole the whole stuff and aspect onto stuff of today and technology and stuff like that, you know, the modern side of the show, it's just not the same feel. That's my opinion. But with some of the earlier stuff, they are more of the favorites. Um, be mindful and wise again. Also, would you do an album ranking on Oasis? Yes, I will definitely do the Oasis ranking, but I'm on to Heathen Chemistry, and I will review the rest of their stuff. But with other stuff that I want to do, I think Oasis will be. Um, I will be reviewing the rest of their stuff, as I just said, but with stuff going on with what I'm going to be doing for the channel, I would like to take a bit of uh, a step of a break from the band, but I will go to Hidden Chemistry. Um, Wooden of the Angles. What was the name of that Steve Roach album you mentioned before again, please? Into the Majestic. Um, that was the one that I had reviewed uh, for 2021, but Impetus is the one that I had mentioned earlier when I started the stream, because that was the one that I had said that I purchased from the previous update video. But I did review his new album. Be mindful and wise. I agree. The early Simpsons is way better. Yeah, for the favorable side of the Simpsons, I absolutely do love more onto some of the classics, because they were more, they were and still be very very memorable. And you can't go wrong with some of the classic seasons. So yeah. Um, Favorite Jimi Hendrix songs. Mine would be Purple Haze, Castles Made of Sound, and Crosstown Traffic. I think that is that's actually very hard, because some of my favorite songs from Hendrix, I would say, maybe most of them would be from Electric Ladyland, but I love some stuff from his first two. But then there's the Band of Gypsies, so I think maybe my favorite Hendrix song, I would say Foxy Lady, because that one was like the first one that I really got to love. But with stuff like um, Voodoo Child to Spanish Castle Magic to um, Boulder's Love, um, Little Wing, uh, so many songs. Machine Gun from Band of Gypsies, and listen to some of the Band of Gypsies recordings. Some of his stuff, very funky, very jam packed. Some of that stuff I love as well. Um, but Hendrix definitely presents some artistry. Some of the greatest songs of all time. One of the Angles, thank you. I'll have a listen to Impetus tonight. You're welcome. It's one of his 80s albums. I'd say it's very adventurous. It's so electronic driven, but it's pretty experimental. Some of it does have ambient stuff in it, but I think that some of his earlier stuff, I need to go to his stuff more actually. But I think that album is one of my favorites, and I think that look of the album cover definitely suits the aspect of the music. Billy Bishop, favorite live albums of all time. Favorite live albums of all time. Um, I would say in random order, The Who live at Leeds to Band of Gypsies from Jimi Hendrix, Band of Gypsies, the 1970 version, um, uh, Deep Purple, Made in Japan, and some of my other favorites, Fleetwood Mac in Boston, I think the Allman Brothers Band at Fillmore East, BB King live at the Regal, Rolling Stones, Get Your Yayas Out. Some of these are like near perfections, but most of them that I said are the classics in my opinion. Bongo Fury by Zappa and Mothers of Invention and Captain Beefheart as well. There's so many live albums. I think yes, I have done a previous video from some years back on favorite live albums of all time, but with the ones I've mentioned, some of them are on that video, so I will have to listen to many more. But those are the ones that I've just mentioned now. But most of them that I've said, as I said now, are on that video. Warden of the Angles at Billy Bishop, Scream in Blue, Midnight Oil. Not familiar with that one. Yeah, Be Mindful and Wise. Favorite Bjork album? Mine would be Post. My favorite Bjork album, I would say, um, I think it's either Homogenic or Post, but I really like Vespertine a lot as well. Um, I think Bjork's discography, as I uh, checked out her music, very original stuff, and I love her um, artistic and discovering yet highly big, approachable aspect on making sounds through different genres. That's one of the best things about being a clever musician. And I think Bjork is definitely one of those very adventurously good artists. So, I know that she may not be for everybody, but that's one of the things that I do like a lot about her. So, I think her discography just is very, very great amounts of work. Sedition through Scorns. If you were able to travel back in time, seeing your favorite bands in their prime, what era of metal would you ever see yourself being strapped in that made you appreciate the genre as a whole? That is a really, really very good question. Um, what era of metal? Um, there's so many genres of the metal scene that I love, but I think for one, um, I would have to say possibly heavy metal. Maybe heavy metal. Um, there are other bands that I love into the subgenre side of things, but I think it's mainly that genre because of the significance and the impact, and especially um, with the obvious metal giants that grew the genre as a whole. But I think with maybe other genres, industrial, that was a genre that still is as an original part of metal music's side. Uh, and I think that is a question that would be great enough for the rest of the commenters to answer as well. But I think it would be maybe those two genres for me. Um, I mean, I love other genres of metal, obviously, but I think it's those two that comes to mind for me. Yeah, Billy Bishop for Killswitch Engage. Who would you prefer, Jesse Leach or Howard Jones? They are different vocalists in their own right, in a very separate amount of vocal performances and the very big tones. I think I would have to maybe pick Jesse Leach. I think Jesse Leach has a more of a guttural, I guess, a raw, growly sound, but Howard Jones's screams absolutely amazing. He's more of a clean singer, but he's more of a dramatic, highly melodic style of a singer. But I think Jesse Leach has some more of the great balls and the grunts to carry and deliver onto the abstract of heaviness into the metalcore sound of the band's music. So yeah, I would say Jesse Leach. But yeah, that's my answer onto that part. Um, so we are onto some more viewers, and also some thumbs up. 9 thumbs up. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to you guys for really appreciating these live streams. And I know I say these same things over and over in any stream about the support, but it's definitely one of my favorite things to see, because it really just shows your dedication and to the true care that you guys definitely bring in and deliver for me. And it's such a brilliant feeling. You have definitely got to be, in my eyes, like one of the best parts why this channel still is as running. And I love making my stuff for content, and I love you guys for that as well, for your interactive comments, and with your appreciation, sharing the channel around, and to boost up some more of the videos, and for anyone to be introduced to any video that I have posted, and to be interested in what I do. That is a wonderful feeling. Okay, so 40 minutes before I finish the stream. Billy Bishop, do you have any Burzum albums? I don't. I don't have any Burzum albums. I rarely have a bit of a black metal collection, to be honest with you. Um, I mean, I do like the genre, especially on some of the obvious greats and all that. But I think black metal is one of the genres that I would have to be in a mood to get into more and more, and to, pardon me, to appreciate more onto the genre. But some of my favorite albums in metal are in that genre, but not a lot of that music. But yeah, so I do really like some of the black metal albums and the bands, but I don't listen to it a lot. So, Sedition Through Scorns, it'd be cool to see you doing more collaborative works for YouTubers and engagements to increase confidentially. Confidentiality. That's what it said and read. Uh, Ever thought of doing those monthly or every so often? Um, I would say so often in if I'm in the mood, and if anyone who's interested to do them, because it basically depends. It depends who I talk to and what interests them, as much as that if it interests very much of me to do some more reviews on collaborative stuff on albums. But I am really interested to still be at a feeling of making some more collaborative album reviews on maybe a classic album, or some of the favorite albums of all time. So, well, new albums as well is what I meant. But I guess it's really all the majority and the interests of the people that I talk to that would be into collaborative stuff. But I I would love to do some more collaborative album reviews on an album from any genre, really. But I think I may have a selection maybe of some albums to review in a collaborative part, but it depends really on the person that I am talking to, that is interested to do an album review in that collaborative uh, part on a video. But yeah, but if you want to do a collaborative album review with me, then we'll work on something. We'll work on something. Doesn't have to be on extreme metal. It can be on a any metal genre. But I guess I'm pretty much open, really. Yeah, Billy Bishop. What are your thoughts on Varg killing your? Can't really read that. Euronymous. Might have mispronounced that. Sorry. Yeah, from Mayhem and the black metal church burnings in Norway in the 1990s. I know what Varg did was absolutely just disastrous and sickening. But to be honest with you, I really don't always want to think of Varg just because of that. I want to think of Varg mostly onto the musician side. The music is what interests me, not what he had done in that opposite side. Because I don't like to go into just the topics of that. Because what interests me when it comes to somebody that I'm interested in into the part of music, I'm interested into the music, and what attracts me is the sound and what art is appealing for me. But something outside of it, of that, I don't really like to go into that. But with what Varg had done, just it's just not what I really want to think about when it comes to musicians that do stuff like that. But yeah, I know that that maybe at a bit of an aggravated tangent, which I didn't want to be in that way, but I'm more interested into the music side. That's all I would say, really. But with Varg being a musician, I do have a lot of respect into what he likes to make. Um, Even though there are some stuff that he had done that I personally am not a fan of, but with some of the black metal stuff, that is really worth onto the connected stuff, onto his works. Billy Bishop, favorite action movies. Favorite action movies. I don't really watch a lot of the action movies, but you know, I think most of them do involve some Arnold Schwarzenegger. Um, but I love Terminator 1 and 2, to Commando. Um, I mean, some of the action films do have some of the genre like sci-fi and stuff. Um, and I mean, I do like some action films, but it's one of the genres that I do love to watch some, but not very commonly, and I don't watch a lot. Some action films involve comedy as well, because I do love some humor in some kind of action flick. But when it comes to films, it just depends on my taste, really. Um, yeah, be mindful and wise. Shadows Fall is an underrated band. The War Within is such a great album. I really like some Shadows Fall, and I do agree they are very underrated. Um, I have that album on CD, and I remember when I had first heard "Enlightened by the Cold" and seen the music video, I was like obsessed with that song because it was so heavy. It was catchy. The music video really gave me like some anticipating buzz. The when it comes on, it's like this is awesome. And the first time that I had seen the video, it was me in my in my primary school part of me, and that was my introduction to the band. You know, and I've never heard anything like it. And it was at that point that I was really into Green Day at the time, you know, with American Idiots, and loving the earlier stuff a lot. But Shadows Fall with that song, especially with um, Inspiration of the Demand, I think that's what it's called, or of the Downs, I can't remember. But some songs like that from the band, yeah, yeah, that definitely has given me one of the biggest favorable amounts of moments of listening to metal, like just to discover something, you know. And it was like, you know, what was that? This is awesome, you know. No, that's definitely something that's I love to you know, reflect. So be mindful and wise again. Have you listened to Electric Wizard Stoke Throne? I really like the sound of the droning, distorting, fuzzy guitars. The production is awesome as well. I only own one album from them, but it's not Dope Throne. I need to get more into um, the drone doom metal genre myself, but I do like a bit of Electric Wizard. Um, well, Billy Bishop, favorite movie directors. Favorite movie directors? Um, I would say a few. I would say the Coen brothers to uh, Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, James Cameron, Francis Ford Coppola, and who else? Stanley Kubrick as well. Ridley Scott. Uh, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think of another one. Oh man, it's a bit difficult. It's a bit difficult. um, one more, one more film director. Paul Verhoeven. I like some of his stuff. Some of my favorite films of all time are by him, as well as the ones from others I've just mentioned. Um, but I think maybe my favorite film director, maybe Spielberg, although Scorsese is one of the best. So, yeah, there's so many that I would say more, but yeah, Paul Verhoeven. That's the last one I would mention. Um, be mindful and wise again. Are you a fan of Lacuna Coil? By the way, guys, we are, I guess, half an hour left into the stream. So if you want to say some more stuff, be my guest. And once again, thank you very much into the communicating and the interactions as always into streams. And it's always very fun. Um, yeah. Are you a fan of Lacuna Coil? I do like a bit of Lacuna Coil, but I'm not really a fan. I do respect Christina Scabia so much, and the rest of the band. But I think with their sound, I do like. Not one of those bands that I would like to listen to on repeat, but I like the sound of their music. Uh, so, I mean, they have a lot of the very high talent that I like. Billy Bishop again, favorite genre of metal. Um, that is something to think about in a very um, depending way, because you know, when it comes to listening to metal, there has to be a separate mood and the vibe, because I love heavy metal. I love some progressive metal, some of the heavier stuff. It just depends on what really grabs me in an artistic sense. because some of my favorite metal albums of all time have their separate identity. Whether it's something very progressive or melodic, something very heavy or rhythmic. But I think my favorite genre of metal, I can't pick one really, but I think the three main ones, if I have to make this answer in that sense, I think my three favorite genres of metal: heavy metal, progressive metal, and I would say maybe industrial metal. Uh, Sedition through Scorns. What bands you wished you saw but can't due to members passing or splitting up? Also, create your own supergroup of active musicians you wish to create music that your followers may not expect. That is difficult. Um, I think there was a question that you said before about the bands that I had wished that I had seen. Yeah, I did. I think I did answer that one from a previous live stream, maybe the second previous live stream or earlier. But to create my own supergroup, that is difficult. Really, really difficult. Supergroup of active musicians that I wish to make. Oh my gosh. That is really hard, mate. um oh I think for guitars wise, um for metal sakes, um rhythm guitars, Bill Kelleher from Mastodon, um to lead guitar. Um, Lead guitar, I would say Tony Iommi, maybe. Drums wise, uh, Gene Hoglan. Um, um, Bass guitar, Les Claypool, gotta be him. And for vocals wise, uh, maybe Mike Patton, maybe. He just comes up. So maybe that's my pick for the supergroup part. Shizazzle, you didn't know it started. I did say it started at 9 p.m. Well, I'm very glad to see you here. I hope you are doing okay, mate. Um, but we are almost 20 minutes left into the stream, and I am very sorry, mate. um, but I'm very happy to see you here. Um, be mindful and wise again. Would you ever do a Gojira or a Mastodon discography review? I have said that I will review Mastodon's albums. I will review the albums from the first to the latest album. And yeah, I did review Once More Round the Sun, but I think I would like to re-review the album if I've changed my opinions on them. Uh, Shizazu. For me, it's around 4:39 p.m. That's the thing. I meant to say that 9 p.m. UK time, and I should have said UK time for me 9 p.m. because I don't really know the time differences. I apologize, man. But yeah, I am glad to see that you did type your time right there. So your time difference is, a very annoying, mad part for people. when it comes to streaming. But yeah, but I am glad to see you here. Billy Bishop, what are your thoughts on Dimebag Darrell's death? It happened in 2004, but YouTube wasn't around back then. Dude, I know I did say that I don't like to talk about on stuff like that, but with this that stuff on Dimebag, that was, you know, that was very vile, and I was, very pissed. I was very pissed. Basically, I don't want to think about that when it comes to that type of part for a musician. But for Dimebag Darrell, for me to think about Dimebag, one of my favorite metal guitarists of all time, always will be. But when it comes to just context of that, I know, it's a part on anyone, but I don't really want to go into deeper context of that. So sorry about that, mate. But with this that stuff on Dimebag, no, no, just just very just very sickening, really. Um, Shizazel, I thought you were 3 hours ahead, not 6. It's fine, don't worry about it. Don't worry, mate. No worries whatsoever. Sedition through Scorns. Out of the grunge scene, pick your least favorite to favorite Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Nirvana, and Pearl Jam from your least listened to the one you will continuously go back again and again. I have not listened to the discographies of Alice in Chains and Soundgarden all the way through, mate, or Pearl Jam. But for Nirvana, my favorite is In Utero. My my second favorite would be Nevermind, even though that it's a very overrated album. But I love some of the tracks on there. But I don't think it's one of the greatest albums of all time. And Bleach. But I think In Utero is just still, to me, um, well, Nirvana's best album. Pearl Jam, I need to listen to their discography more. Um, but 10 is always the gem of always the gem into one of the gems actually into the genre. Shizazul again. What is the most extreme album that you own? Most extreme album that I own? I don't know, to be honest. Um, well, I guess it just depends on to the type of band. It doesn't always have to be like the only heavy extreme side of metal. But it can be depending on the style. It can be depending on the genre itself, like experimental side. The most extreme album, but I guess in terms of heaviness, oh gosh, I guess um, I guess maybe uh, or maybe the um, some of the extreme albums uh, from Behemoth to Suffocation, or um, something maybe on the experimental side, in an extreme side, like Mr. Bungle, for example, like the second album, or maybe the first, because I think that first album is pretty extreme in the styles that it was all over the place. But I can't pick one, mate, because that's a pretty I guess difficult question, because like I said, I guess it doesn't always have to be on just the heaviest part of the genre of metal. Be Mindful and Wise, Alice in Chains, and Soundgarden are my favorite bands from the grunge scene. Sweet. Billy Bishop, before you did YouTube when it wasn't around, what did you do on a regular basis, Greg? Not personal stuff, but what did you do before YouTube? What did I do before YouTube? Before I joined YouTube, I was playing video games. I was collecting more CDs from genres of music that I was into. A lot, well, metal, really, a lot of metal. Before I got into more of a very positive and an open taste of music. Um, but I think with stuff that I was collecting, a lot of it is Slipknot stuff. Slipknot stuff. Besides really getting intrigued into some music videos and discovering some more bands into that genre. Um, have you ever worn contacts, Shazazel, or have you always gone with glasses? I mostly have been a glasses person, but I went through contact lenses because I really did not like my first experiences with contact lenses. But I managed to get used to them now. I got used to, putting on my lenses, saline solution, and put the lenses into my eyes. So I got used to it. But I got very uncomfortable when I tried them out. But I wear them mostly when I go out, or if I do a gig. Sometimes I do like to, you know, put my lenses in and just go for a walk or go to town. But mostly I put my lenses in for band live shows and rehearsals. Sedition through Scorns. I don't know if this is asked before. What do you look for or classified an album as a masterpiece in terms of progression, skill, proficiency, etc.? There's a lot of albums that are, I guess, labeled into that part of classified skill or progression. Um, I think it's all down to which album anybody will agree on of impact, significance, and influence. With albums, say, maybe like Sergeant Pepper to Crack the Sky to um, Wish You Were Here, or Exile on Main Street, or Who's Next. Some classic rock and metal bands, or from any genre really. There's so many masterpieces in separate rights, separate identities that are classified, well, of opinions really, of those words. But that's a really good question because there's so many albums that will definitely be categorized into those words. That's a very good question for anyone here to answer. There's some really good stuff of words to describe albums into that part of masterpiece of classic albums. Shazazel, do you listen to Edge of Sanity? If so, what is your favorite album? I have heard of the name, buddy, but I haven't listened to their music at all. I'll have to get into them. Be Mindful and Wise. What would your top 5 favorite guitarists be? Top 5 guitarists. It has to be a random pick. I don't think that this is the top 5, but I'll say 5 random picks. So Jimi Hendrix, David Gilmour, Tony Iommi. I would say Um, I think to randomly name two more, I think, oh my gosh, mate. I think the last two, Pete Townsend and one more. Like I said, these are just random picks. Last one, I would say. Uh, oh my gosh. Just say someone. I think the last one that comes into my head, John McLaughlin. You know, different genre guitarists. There's so many that I would love to say more, but maybe I would make a video on favorite guitarists. And by the way, guys, speaking about my talk that I've just said about performing and doing gigs and rehearsals, I am in a band that I had mentioned before, but that was like some few years ago. I am in a band named Hard Graft, and this is the band's logo, and we do have a website and a Facebook page. So Hard Graft are a rock and blues style covers band, and we play music with songs from the eras, mainly from the 60s to the 70s, and maybe a few from the 80s, but mostly from the 60s and 70s. And we have a YouTube channel, all in one word, Hard Graft Band. So it would definitely be awesome if you guys would like to check us out. Check out the band on our website, Facebook page, and our YouTube channel. And if you really like what you see, please give the band a like on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and share the band around. So that's my really small plug for you guys to check out my band that I'm in. I've been with the band um, for 5 years, and with many experiences of performing, lineup changes, etc. It's definitely one of my favorite things. I am really grateful and lucky to be in a band. So yeah, because that's my main priority. That's my main occupation. My main occupation, being a musician, and being um, in a band, a guitarist. So Billy Bishop, yeah, what's your opinion on Chinese Democracy by Guns N' Roses? I really don't like that album. I just don't like Chinese Democracy. I think it's very bland and so, I would say, very unimaginative. To me, it's just not a very strong album. And I don't really like the multiple different changes of the songwriting to the sound. To me, it's just a record that was too hard to be worked on, and it's just a very messy, bloated album. Um, Narrated Myths and Legends, how's it going, mate? And thank you very much, by the way, for your great comments when I had reviewed um, that album, Radana, the Fomorian Horde. By the way, I think impact is important for a masterpiece, but I think originality plays a huge part too. That is exactly one of the things. Originality is highly important when it comes to releasing an album that can be very inspirational and what appeals to anybody, and to really gravitate a listening experience for anyone. Original stuff is very big for being in a band and a musician as well. What's up, Andy? How you doing? Danny Carey is the best drummer. Do you agree? No, I don't. think he's the best drummer of all time, but I think he's one of my favorites of all time. He's a great monster of a drummer. I do love some of his skills, and Tool is a great band. I love Lateralis, but his his active inventiveness as a drummer, just one of the best. I would say, dare I say, one of the best metal drummers. But I love his actual creative and very rhythmic arrangements. Um, by the way, guys, we are 5 minutes left into this stream, as it's almost 11 p.m. here. Yeah, Shizazzle, for me, their best albums are Crimson and Purgatory Afterglow. Crimson is a 40-minute song, while Purgatory Afterglow, 10 songs, being a bit longer than that. Both fantastic albums. That is on Edge of Sanity, mate. If that's great to your words, then I'll have a listen to them. I'll check out Edge of Sanity. Excuse me. Yeah. Um, Shizazzle again. What are some new techniques are you learning on guitar? If you aren't learning any new techniques, what are you trying to improve on currently? I think I am more onto the actually the practices of the dexterity and cleaning up some fast improvised lead parts for lead guitar, and to make every note very clean and heard in a precise way, especially when it comes to practicing lead, to get that attack. And there's loads of guitar players that are so inspirational for me, that inspire me to learn different skills in many ways, that makes me be me as a musician. But I think that's the main part for me, is to improve the 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 the, the lead technique and the dexterity, um, and as well as to be really really consistent with learning some more different advanced skills. Um, Narrated myths and legends. So your bands do covers only, or original songs too? Mostly the covers. We are playing tons of covers, but I have been making some original stuff, some future original songs that has been working for the better. But for now, we have a repertoire of the covers part side of things. Shizazzle, you mentioned in a past live stream that you might re-rank Iron Maiden's albums. Do you have any plans for that video? Now that you mentioned that, mate, I haven't listened back to Iron Maiden for a while, but if I want to re-rank Iron Maiden, I would maybe do that. But it depends if my opinions have changed. But I am very happy still with my ranking. If things have changed, I would like to re-rank their discography. Narrated myths and legends again. Oh, this is the Radana main channel. Oh, okay. Um, Richard Falk. I don't want to mispronounce that name. Falk here. Can't sleep, so I felt I'd check your live stream. Just clarifying. Oh, okay. Uh, that it's really cool to meet you through comments. Hopefully, we'll plan a video chat at some point, mate. But I really hope you are doing very, very well and doing okay. Um, and I wish you the best, and the rest of your band too, with your works. Sedition through Scorns again. In your opinion, what drum performance do you feel is Neil Peart's best work for his creativity, talent, and layers he created for his patterns in Rush. Also, nice to see you doing these streams. Thank you very much. Um, I think for Neil as a drummer, I think what I love about his drumming is that he's definitely brought in some very open and creative roles as a drummer. Always very skilled and always fun to listen to because with words like you said about his talents and layers, his talent very passionately active when he was with Rush, and he's one of my favorite drummers of all time as well. I could really say a lot more about Rush as well, but with Neil, definitely brought in such a very distinctive part into the music and progressive music. You can't really go wrong at all about, talking to, people, your favorite drummers of all time. But Neil's definitely one of the greatest into the experiencing part of looking at a different drummer's amount of performance. But I think Neil definitely still marks himself as a giant, as a drummer, just one of the greatest. So yeah, Andy, Danny Carey or Bill Bruford, I do love them both. Bill Bruford from King Crimson, love his drumming work as well. Um, I think they're both different drummers in technicality and skill. Um, I would say in an adventurous point, it would be Danny Carey, but for rhythm in a distinctive part, especially for him being a big part in prog rock, as he was with um, yes, I think I could be wrong, but yeah, along those lines in prog rock, Bill Bruford definitely is an amazing drummer too. Uh, I think he was with Yes, because I know that Alan White was with Yes. I think it was Bill Bruford. Um, yeah, I think he was with Yes. Anyway, I love Bill Bruford as a drummer too. Sedition through Scorns again. I would like to do a collaboration for Toxicity since the anniversary for the album turning 20 years old is in early September. But we can arrange something in due time if you like doing so. That is an album that I would absolutely uh, be, having a great time with to review. I would definitely add it for Classic Albums Revisited in the collaborative part. And that is an album that I would like to review so much. And I would be happy to review it with you. So yeah, we could plan something out and we could review Toxicity and go from that part and post it to my channel. So yeah, because Toxicity is one of my favorite albums of all time as well. Shizazzle, can you attempt a beatbox? No way, mate. There's no chance. There's no chance of me doing a beatbox. That is pretty random. I know beatboxing takes a lot of skill, but I'm not one of the people that does that. But yeah, Narrated Myths and Legends, System of a Down was a great band. I take a lot of influence from them, listened to them a lot in the past. Their discography is one of my favorites as well. And System of a Down is one of my favorite bands of all time as well. I love Toxicity and, their discography. To me, their discography is near perfect. And I think they always are one of those top 2 alternative metal bands, or top 3, and they bring in so much influence for me as, you know, a guitar player. When I was learning guitar, I played so many of their songs. But yeah, System of a Down's music in metal, just one of my favorites. Okay, so last call for comments, guys, because we are at the 2-hour point. 6 viewers, 11 thumbs up. Thank you very, very much to you guys for coming into the stream and have a very good time. And it's really nice to see you guys. And I would like to do this again some point in June. And I would like to announce it in another video. Narrated myths and legends, favorite songs, Atwa and Chop Suey, Air, Trees, Water and Animals. That's one of their greatest songs. Shizazzle, King Crimson or Yes. I love both bands. But I think my pick... Oh, man. I think maybe... I think it would possibly be King Crimson. But Yes is a very close mark. Narrated myths and legends. I'll like the video. It's fun listening. I just see the like. Thank you very much. 12 thumbs up. So, with that being said, I will have to say that this stream was very, very fun, and I very much would love to do this whole thing again. Thank you very much for coming into the stream, and it's definitely one of the things that I would like to continue as much as for me making videos. I think besides that, I will be making my update video after this live stream. I would still like to, you know, take my time and be in a right mindset for making a video, but I've still got other videos to plan and make, and I would like to do some more collaborative album reviews, and just to try and keep active on the channel as much as possible. So, well, yeah, that's all I would like to address on that part. Thank you guys for coming in, for your comments, and have a very, very chill, nice time. It's been an amazing blast. So take care, Shizazzle, and to you, to Andy, Sedition Through Scorns, Billy Bishop, Narrated Myths and Legends, and Big Chunky 22, and you know, the other people. So yeah, thank you guys. Awesome for tuning into the stream, and I'll keep you guys posted for more videos in the near future.